Hi, I'm Deborah Leanne. Hello, everybody. And I want to, first of all, welcome you. And, I want to go over the logistics. Does everybody know where the restrooms are? Yeah. And where you can get more coffee and water. I just want to make sure everybody understands that part, that you can get up at any time and go get your coffee and water or adjust the thermostat or whatever you need to do. Um, So the other piece I want to just say is that, yes, Karen, I so agree in terms of the Zoom bringing us together in a way that feels more intimate in some ways than in the old way of just networking. I feel like we really look at people's eyes when we're in this format, and I really appreciate that we have it in place during this time. Before we jump into our program and the networking and everything, I have actually taught 2 classes in the last 3 days on resilience and centering and grounding. And I just want to take us through a little bit of that to get everybody present. This time, no matter, even if you're feeling grateful and you're feeling good about things and excited about some of the changes that you're starting to see, especially spring brings that optimism. There is a low lying, they're calling it a collective trauma that our world and everyone is experiencing because of the changes. There's a lot of grief of old patterns and ways of being that are not being followed right now. And I just want to honor that whatever you're feeling at any time is totally welcome, just like you are welcome in this space with us today. Um, so let's just tap in to find our center, which is that place of being fully present in this space. And it also allows us to connect more deeply. And because we have a screen separating us, we actually want to be so much more present so that our essence can transmute through the video waves and the audio waves. So as we just take a minute to arrive in our bodies, and for me that's necessary because I was struggling with technology this morning, and just slow down. I think that's another beautiful thing that's happened with the pandemic is that it's allowed us to really slow down. Our agendas, mine still feels full, but it's also at a pace where I can do it with my slippers on, and I wonder how many of you are wearing high heels and stockings right now, because I haven't worn those in weeks, and I probably won't ever again, maybe. And so just to feel our feet and feel ourselves being supported in the chair and drop down into our center of power and connection, which is in the lower belly. It's down below your belly button, actually. When we drop down in, it allows us to access our heart wisdom, and it also allows us to drop out of some of the fear cycling that goes on. So just allowing your energy to fall down and deep into you, and then allow your breath to fill that space in your belly and remind yourself that this is truly home. And from this space, see if your shoulders fall back down away from your ears and allow your heart space and your chest to open wide so that you can breathe even more deeply. And from this space is where, when it's your turn to do your networking and share, try to slow down your breath and see how much more clear your messaging comes through. Okay, thank you for joining me in that. I really needed that. Oh, thank you. So, to follow our vision and mission for Gateway to Dreams, Karen, I would love for you to share this because there's something about your energy saying these words that really makes them pop. I mean, they're nice on the screen, but it's really different when we hear them coming through your voice. Would you mind reading these?
Absolutely. And actually, I would like to say that these words have taken years to come together, and it's an intentional group with intentional people that have brought us to where we are. Our vision for Gateway to Dreams is to inspire dreams into action. We are the model to positively change the world. Our mission is to inspire action and give voice and clarity to the dreams of individuals, creating a ripple effect that positively impacts the social and economic well-being of our community. I'd like to say right now, I'm hoping that you feel the positive impact socially now by being on a Zoom call with other dreamers, with other entrepreneurs, that has an effect on you. And then we have our values, and these have come about by living Gateway to Dreams, by some of the things that have gone wrong. Some of the, this has not been, we woke up and said, we're going to have Gateway to Dreams, and it all went divinely perfectly. Now, it is perfect for where we're supposed to be, but it didn't necessarily feel that way. So some of the values that we have developed along the way are to love more and judge less. Is anybody else someone that you're trying hard and having others judge you isn't helping you? So we want to have open hearts with no judgment. And we want to have a safe space for all of us to come together and share dreams and goals and not have people go, you can never do that. We want people to go, how can we help you? Positive possibilities, being open to possibilities, because positivity is contagious. So is negativity, but positivity is contagious. It leads to more ways for us to manifest our dreams. Really special to my heart. We call it Heart Smart Connections. And that's when we use our brains and we use our heart to help nurture strategic introductions that lead to opportunities and collaboration, pay it forward networking, looking for ways to serve others that we meet, as others have done for us. Gateway would not exist without a whole lot, hundreds literally, of people paying it forward. Energetic empathy. Sometimes we need to quiet ourselves to listen to others, listen deeply with caring and empathy to build strong relationships, not be thinking about the next thing we want to say, but hearing where someone is. And I think that's even more important right now when we are being distanced, to really practice deep listening. And empowering language. So we have some little, maybe crazy things that we like to throw out, but if we're being really negative or talking disrespectfully maybe about someone else, we use the word higher, and that's to help us reframe something to be more positive. And using words that focus on what is good, what is helpful, gratitude, to build a powerful environment. I'm not sure where we want to go right next.
It's going to go to the impact award slide. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So we moved in just a few days. We were supposed to be having our impact award. We're not going to have it on April 30th. We have moved it to September 30th. And our MC, Marty K. Casey, and our honorary chair, Lisa Nichols, have both been able to move that. So we will be reaching out to the community still for our sponsorships to help us run Gateway. And we hope that all of you on the call will consider nominating people that are making a difference in our community and attending on the 30th. We also have a volunteer, a volunteer and an upcoming program form that Tiffany is going to attach, and it will tell you about all the upcoming events that we will be hosting online, as well as, if you want to volunteer, ways that you can volunteer. For those of you that knew Karen Garcia, she was one of the launch ambassadors. We honor her with a pay it forward card. Diane Carson really touched me when she said, at Aldi's, when people, instead of them giving her a quarter, she tells them pay it forward, and she gives them a random act of kindness card. So that's to honor paying it forward and Karen's impact on Gateway to Dreams. The next one is And this is a little bit different. Normally we do our meeting sponsors at the event and they get to put out their material. And so we don't really have those same opportunities, but we do have the opportunity to be a sponsor. And then you would be on this video that will be on YouTube eventually. We have help getting this on YouTube. And I would like to do a shout out. Diane Carson, you've been a sponsor before, and I wondered if you would just take a brief minute or two to talk about the backdrops that you can provide for people, a little bit of a being a sponsor without paying right now, your backdrops.
Sure. So I found a supplier for, I guess it started out when I provided a backdrop for Gateway Pet Guardians, so that they could put, when they adopted pets, they put the family in front of this screen and they took their picture, and it has their logo all over it. And so I'm able to get those, but I'm finding that a lot of people, they're big, and you can use them again at trade shows and conferences, but they're 8 foot by 8 foot. So people are going, oh my God. So I found another supplier where they're 4 feet by 91 inches, which is, I don't know, almost 5 feet tall, I guess, that you can put behind you with your logo on. And it's photographic fabric. So it absorbs the light. There's no light bouncing off it. It's wrinkle-free fabric. You can fold it up. It comes in a bag. The frame breaks down, and you can use those as well. You know, anything that you do, really, any personal appearance, anything, conferences, anything like that. So I'm actually ordered one for myself. So hopefully, if we do this again, you'll see it at the back. So
Yay! Yay! I need to go back to the Impact Awards. Thank you, Becky Boomer-Schlegel, one of our detail volunteers. We show it as Thursday, September 30th, and it's actually Wednesday, September 30th. So we will correct that. And Linda Jarrett, I just love the cat going back and forth across your face with a long, looks like you have a long mustache. Anyway, just had to say that.
Karen, can I just mention that we are looking for sponsors, and we're looking for items for our auction. So if anybody, would like to be a sponsor, or knows of anyone, they can approach to be a sponsor, we would appreciate that.
We would love that. Yes, thank you. And Diane is the chair of our Impact Awards, and then we have a wonderful team of volunteers. The next thing that we have started doing with our with Gateway to Dreams is something called Dream Tank, and that's an opportunity for someone to get in front of the group and share a dream. So like Michelle Petralia talked about her new bra business, and Melissa Missy Coleman talked about her skincare line. Well, today we're going to go in a little bit different direction, and I don't know how many of you on the call will know her personally, but Rosemary Britz over the years has become a really dear friend. We met because of Joy of Goals, and Joy of Goals changed her life in that she started a nonprofit that she did not think she could do. And it has been a really amazing, getting a lot of grants, helping a lot of people. Well, in the fall, her daughter, who has sickle cell, made a visit to the hospital that was pretty routine. She was going through sickle cell problems, and something went wrong at the hospital. I don't know any updated details, but I know that the result ended up that her daughter died suddenly. That was horrific. That was in the fall. And just in the past week and a half, her husband caught the virus and he has passed away. And for someone to go through all that she has gone through, and she remained strong. She's a strong woman of faith, but they still have kids at home. They're still grieving the loss of their sister. Now they're going through the loss of a father and a husband. So we have joined forces with Connections to Success to get donations to help with the burial. When you go to that link that's on our website, or you can reach out to me later, I can give you the address or the link again if you don't capture it today right now. But if you put Rosemary Britt's name, there's a place to say who something's for, it can go toward the burial of her husband. So instead of Dream Tank, what we want to do is help Rosemary's family get through this. And prayers, prayers, prayers always. And then that will end my meeting, and it's back to you, Deborah.
Okay, I was muted. I was flipping through to see everybody. Hi, because I only see 4 of you at a time, so it was fun to see everybody here this morning. So welcome again. We're going to move into what used to be, when I was sitting at the table, my favorite part of the whole program, even though I always loved the speakers. But this part was really an opportunity to get to know people in a small, intimate way and talk about who we are and what we want to do in the world, as well as learn about everybody else's passions and their businesses and what makes them tick and what they're looking for in the world. So it was a quick, really fast way to get to know people deeply. And in this, we don't have the brochure with the agenda in it,
Yeah.
but where
Yes.
do they have that?
We do.
Oh, getting to know you. Oh, Zoom script. Oh, okay, I'm clicking on it. So if you,
Yes.
in the chat, she just uploaded the document. So if you know how to click on it and click on it again, it'll open it within your Zoom screen. Oh, that's the coolest thing. Thank you, guys. I love all this tech.
Heidi also has put it up on the, shared it on the screen, so you can take a quick picture of it too, if that's easier for you.
Yes, because this screen will go away when you get into your small groups, correct, Tiffany?
Correct. And I will, yeah, and we'll explain that in a minute, but yeah, we'll get the questions out to you in as many ways as possible. But
Okay.
here's a couple ways quick that you can download it right now, or you can take a quick picture
Yeah,
of
so
the
if you can
slide.
download it and print it out and write on it, that would actually be great. But what I
And
want
we also sent it electronically last night.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask everybody to do is to take a moment to look at these questions, write out some answers for yourself so that when you get your 60 seconds to introduce yourself, you'll have some of the words ready to talk about, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and give you time to either print this form out or scroll up on this and write out some of these questions or write out some of your answers right now. And I'm going to show you a demonstration of how you really can do this in 60 seconds. But I also want to, if you've got a paper and pen with you right there, as people are sharing, and you may get an inspired thought or something that you want to share with them, or a name might pop into your head of, oh, I want to connect this person with. Feel free to jot that down. We don't have the collaboration cards right now, but we have the opportunity to write down what you want to share with them, and then make sure that before the end of this day, you connect with that person and share that information. Because this is the magic. When we connect in this way and the other, and something comes up for us, we're like, oh, this is a gift I can give this person in terms of it could be a potential connection or client or idea to expand their business. So I'm going to flip through and answer these questions quickly now. And I have not written down my answers. I would sure hope I know this by now after years of this, Karen. But hi, my name is Deborah Leanne, and I own a business called Authentic Leadership Academy. And we specialize in leadership development, training, coaching, and retreats for women. I'm looking for partnerships and connections with podcast deliverers to be interviewed, or spaces where I can share my message, like in this format, which I've done the last couple weeks with other groups. And in my professional life right now, I'm still looking for organization, but I'm getting so much better. And in my personal life right now, I'm looking for just reminders to people to reach out and say that we're still connected, because sometimes I'm not so good at being the reaching person. I need somebody to reach out to me. And in the next 60 days, I am looking to purchase an iPad or a tablet of some sort. And a dream I have, and you've heard it, and I'm going to say it again, is to do retreats for women in Italy. I don't know why Italy, but so. Any questions before we move into our groups?
Tiffany's going to instruct us how to do this, right, Tiffany?
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes. I will defer to you, Tiffany.
All right, very good. Thank you, Deborah Leanne. So we are going to use the function in Zoom called breakout rooms. If you're not familiar with this, here's how this is going to work. So I will, in a minute, I'm going to put you on to breakout rooms. It'll be random. Zoom does it for us. So you will see on your screen pop up a blue button that invites you to join the room. So you click on that. And then in that room, I will give you, so I won't be able to see or anything what you guys are talking about. There should be 4 in your room. Hopefully this works, if this works right, if I do the math right. Some of you may have 5 just because of odd numbers. But in that room, I will be able to broadcast a message. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and post the questions again in text format so you can see them. They don't last long, so you'll still need to take a picture of the slide or however you're going to have that in front of you. But just as a quick reminder, so when I post that speaker 1, that's first speaker who's going to go first. I'll give you a few seconds to decide who's going to go first. That first speaker will get 60 seconds. And then at the 60-second mark, I'll post another message that says, okay, change to speaker 2. I'll give you the questions again. And then so every 60 seconds, I'll post that reminder to go ahead and switch your speakers. At the end, when I calculate that everybody should have gone through, I will close the rooms, and that'll give you a 60-second notification that, okay, the room's closing in 60 seconds. I'd invite you to go ahead and come back manually at that point. Like there'll be a button that you can click manually, just so we know that, so everybody's getting back. However, at the end of 60 seconds, if somebody's still talking, the room's just going to close. So, and I can't control that. So, so beware. But just, it would be easier if you just came back manually and joined the group. So I think it should be pretty self-explanatory. We did a rehearsal the other day and it was pretty slick. So does anybody have any questions though? You can go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll call on you. Raise your blue hand, your little blue hand, because that raises you up on my list. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put us into the groups.
This is talent right here. You putting us all in these breakout rooms. So this is pretty cool, you guys.
Yeah, get ready. Are you ready? I told the group when we practice, I feel like I'm sending you in a time warp. So get ready, hold on to your time travel hats, and go. All right, so 13 seconds and we'll call everybody back.
That was fast.
It was.
We did our first networking chat.
Welcome back, everyone.
I would like to introduce our educational speaker today is Jennifer Stewart. Jennifer Stewart is a technology trainer and owner of Gateway Productivity, and she's been patiently empowering her clients to understand their technology since 2011. I bet that took a lot of patience. Her passion is creating light bulb moments when her clients understand something new and can use that understanding to save time and be more digitally productive. So I cannot wait to learn from you, Jennifer. Please welcome Jennifer Stewart.
Great. Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. I think everybody can hear me. Okay. Yay.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, let me go. I'm going to share my screen real quick so that you can see the PowerPoint. All right. And let's go here. All right, can we see that okay? We gotta, you can just do regular thumbs up if you can see it. Okay. All right. So what I want to teach you today is how to go from this to, and the overwhelm that that might entail, to feeling a lot calmer and having a system. The main thing I'm going to talk about several times is having a system with your email. And that's really the key here. So think about how many emails are in your inbox right now. Does that overwhelm you? And some of you actually may say no. So maybe it's the fact that it's not the amount of emails in there. You can deal with this big, huge list of emails, but maybe it's the fear that you're missing something. And we're going to talk about several things that can help with both of those issues. And you're not alone. I've had clients that have thousands of emails, just like you're looking at right now. We've worked with that. We've reduced the number. It takes some time and it takes some patience. But if you do it just little chunks at a time, you can bring it down. And then if you're not bothered by how many emails are in there, but you want a system for processing your emails, that's very possible too. It's just about sitting down and thinking about what that system is for you. And again, we'll talk about some tips here in a minute. So that's what we're going to go through is 3 quick tips. And then also filters and rules is the main thing that most of my clients find helps them the most. So I want to go through a little more detail about that specific tip. So let's jump right in there. If you want to, we're not going to do questions right now, but we'll have time maybe for a couple questions depending on what everyone says, how we're doing on timing a little bit after this. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about our 3 tips. The first one is don't use email as your task list. So many people do this. I used to do this, and so I completely understand. Basically, most of us will leave things in our email inbox until we get them done. But what happens is they go to the next page and the next page, and then we forget about them. Or we lose track of something, or we know in the back of our minds that something's going on that we need to deal with, but it disappeared, we can't find it. So the key here is always move to-dos that are generated by emails to your next step in the to-do process. So think about that email not as just an email, but that's a to-do for you. So that goes into your task and your to-do process. So for some people, they might use the flags or the stars in their email program, depending on what email program you have. Some people might actually put it physically on a task list, whether that's paper or if that's in your computer. Or maybe they will create an action folder that they move things into. It really depends on what works best for you. And again, think about that before you implement something. Think about that and create a vision of what you want that to be before you move forward with steps that aren't going to work for you. So have a plan and then start implementing that plan. The main thing is don't use your inbox as your task list. Our second email tip is to set specific times each day when you will check email. So the best way to do this is think about how long do you take to work on email in a day. And this can be a really rough estimate. You don't have to figure out exactly, but go ahead and jot that down somewhere on a piece of paper or get it squarely in your mind. So you're thinking about how much time do I spend on email each day? Now think about how many times a day do you really realistically need to check email? This is very different depending on your profession. You might need to check it just 3 times a day. You might need to check it 10 times a day. I know a lot of real estate agents are in that boat. So think about that for you and what that means for you. How many times a day do you really need to check email? Now just do the simple math. Take the amount of time that you currently spend checking email, divide that by the amount of times you want to be checking email during a day, and there's your email time frames. You have that all set and ready to go. Now you have to figure out which times of day are best. Don't feel like that is set in stone. You can move that around. You're going to have interruptions. You're going to have different things happen. Give yourself some grace with that, but really try to stick to those email time frames during the day. And then the next tip would be to use a timer during those time frames. And it's amazing what this will do for you. It takes away from your mind, how long have I spent? How much more time do I have? All of those things, the timer takes care of it for you. Set that timer and just focus completely on your email for however long you had designated that you need. And by doing that, you will delete more, you'll make quicker decisions, you will prioritize without even realizing you did it. And this is a huge, huge time saver. It's very hard to put in as a habit, I will admit. I have trouble doing it myself, but just think about it as you get into a time frame, and you can use this really for anything besides email. Have a time frame set your timer, and just see how much more productive you become during that time. And so the final thing I want to point out with email is when you're not in these email timeframes, either turn off your incoming email alert or completely close your email program. And this includes on your phone. I would not have email alerts on your phone at all. Most things for most people, if it's an emergency, they will call or text you. Leave those notifications on, that's perfectly fine. But emails, just turn the notifications off across the board, because that's just a complete distraction all the time. So we want to eliminate that. Not just when you're working on email. Obviously, when you're in email, you'll see them come in. But when you're not working on email, having all of those distractions of the notifications gone is a huge, huge time saver. It'll keep you from getting distracted and having to get back to what you're doing every 5 to 10 minutes. So the last thing I want to talk about is filters and rules. So you're looking at this going, this is not a talk about cooking. It's not a talk about pool services. What am I doing here? So this is an example of what filters and rules do. For those who aren't familiar with them, like a colander takes the water or whatever it is that you're getting off of your food, usually the water, washing those berries or whatever, and then getting the water off of them, it's taking the water away. With the pool filter, that's taking impurities out of the water. So it's getting one thing away from another thing. And that's what filters and rules do. And the reason I keep saying filters and rules is they're called something different depending on your email program. And we'll go through in just a second what it's called for the main 3 email programs. So what exactly is this? A filter or rule, and filters are mainly in Gmail. It's the word used in Gmail and most email-based, online-based email programs like AT&T.net. You might have SBC Global, Yahoo, Hotmail. A lot of those, it calls it filters. And then rules is for Outlook mainly, and then Mac Mail. So those are the 2 words you're looking for. What it is, it's an automatic search that the email program performs to find emails that can be moved to a specified location, and you designate what that is. So you can choose from a lot of different parameters to create the searches, but what most people do is when an email comes in, you're going to tell your email program, when this email comes in from, let's say it's a newsletter. When this newsletter comes into my email, automatically put that into a folder for me. What that does, how this benefits you, is you start to be in more control of your inbox. Instead of having all of these unimportant emails come in or less important emails coming into your inbox, they'll go into a folder that you can then check at your designated time, that you're going to check that maybe it's in your last email time frame for the day that you're going to check those folders. So that puts you in more control. And especially if you're someone who has a lot of these newsletters coming in, this can be a huge, huge benefit. So let's look real quickly at what it looks like. I'm not going to go through all the details. I'll have my contact information at the end. If you have additional questions, feel free to email or call me. So this is what it looks like for Outlook. So the top left is creating the rule, and this is a shortcut right at the top of your screen if you're using Outlook. That then takes you to the second box in this bottom left portion. This is if you need a few extra details. You can see there's also, if you look at the top left picture again, you'll see always move messages from. That's a great built-in feature of Outlook, that it knows that most of the time you just want to move messages from a certain email address into a folder. And so that walks you through that with just 2 steps. The next level is create rule. If you choose that one, you get the smaller box on the bottom left. That gives you a few extra options. And then let's say you get really excited about this, you've done a lot of practicing and you want to add some exceptions and things like that. If you go to advanced options, it brings you to the right-hand window, and that gives you lots of different options. If you're just going to use this to filter in emails into folders, you can probably use the shortcut every time. So don't let this overwhelm you. Just go straight for that always move messages from. That's that first option. So what this looks like in MacMail is similar. Theirs is, again, it's called rules. And you'll find this in your preferences. And then rules is one of the icons that you'll see when you go in there. With this one, you need to potentially copy the email address that the email comes from and put it in there. I would play with that and just get used to how those rules work in MacMail. And one thing I didn't explain that I do want to tell you, a rule or a filter is built as an if this, then that statement. If this email comes from this place, then put it in this folder. So you'll see a lot of those, a lot of these instructional pieces that you'll go through, it'll be broken into two sections, and that's why. If this, and you see this here on this screen, if any email comes from this recipient, then perform the following actions. So you'll see all of them are pretty much built like this, just in different ways. So the last one I want to show you is Gmail. And that one, you go into the email that you're looking to do the filter for. And again, they're called filters here. Go to more at the top and filter messages like these. And that'll bring you into the first box, the bottom left here. And from there, that's the if part of the statement. If it is from this email address, and you don't have to fill out all the boxes, and this is true in any of these programs, you do not have to fill out all the boxes. As long as you have at least one filled out, it'll work. So if it's from this email address, then you create the filter with this search in the bottom right. It brings you to the next part of the statement. Then skip the inbox, add a label. And again, I'm not going to go into all the details here, but if you have additional questions, feel free to email or call me. So this is what filters and rules are. And again, as a reminder, this is to take emails that come in that maybe are less important, put them into folders, and that gives you the choice of when you check those. So one thing I'd love you all to do is just write down the one thing that really resonated with you today that you'd like to implement. And it's been proven that when we write things down, we're more likely to then take that and run with it. So again, as a reminder of what we talked about, I recommended not using your inbox as a task list, setting specific times to work on email, using a timer, eliminating distractions by turning off email notifications, and we discussed the filters and rules to weed out those less important emails. And a great quote that I like to end with is from Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And anybody who's seen me present before probably has heard this because I just love this quote so much. You must be very polite with yourself when you are learning something new. And this is kind of my mantra for myself, for my clients. Give yourself some grace. Learning Zoom, learning email stuff, whatever it is, be polite with yourself when you're learning something new. And remember that email systems aren't one size fits all. So if you see something online that says you should do this, this, and that, that's not necessarily going to be true for you. That's why I talk about creating that vision for yourself and then taking the steps to meet your vision, not necessarily what works for someone else. So I will let someone guide me as to if we have any time for any questions. And here's my contact information if anyone needs it.
We do have time for a few questions, and I guess we go back to raising the hands.
Yeah, Tiffany, if you want to call on people, that'd be
Sure. Yep, I can do that. Yeah, so if you are interested in asking a question, go ahead and do the little blue hand raise down at the bottom. I think we found it at the bottom of the participant screen. And Diane, with guest after after her name, has a question. Oh, Diane Carson. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would just like to give a shout out to Jennifer. I hired her many years ago when I switched from one company to another. I had a horrendous email Oh my God, it was terrible. And she really, really is great. She just put me on the straight and narrow. And I've used her methodology ever since. And then also I took her Zoom class, and she's really, really good at that. But I do have a question. So Jennifer, you taught me, like, when I'm getting a lot of emails from one particular source, to make a folder for that particular source. So I have a client that emails me a lot. And so I made a folder for him, but I keep forgetting to check it. And he's like, "Didn't you get my email? I emailed you 2 days ago and you never got back to me. Is there some way? Is there a notification? Is there some way that when that one particular email goes into his folder, that I know that he's emailed me?"
Okay, so a couple points here, and thank you very much for the shout out. I appreciate it. If most of his emails are important, I would probably turn off the filter that's moving everything automatically into the folder,
Okay.
just because you probably need to see that come in.
Okay.
But if it's kind of like half and half, or it's more stuff that's not that urgent, you can have it go in there, but then I would set yourself a daily task reminder or some kind of pop-up either on your phone or on your computer that's going to tell you check that folder.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? I don't see any raised hands. So
Do you-
if somebody, yes.
But I just have a raised hand. I don't know where my raised hand thing is on the.
Okay, go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, Jennifer, we're in the process of setting up email and a website for our business. And I was just wondering if you have an email program that works better than another one for business.
So for business, it kind of depends on the needs. So it might be, let me jot down your name because I can reach out to you and we can kind of talk more specifics offline.
Okay.
Because I'm happy to help you with just a quick consultation on that. But in general, most businesses these days are either using Outlook, but it depends on how big the company is and where exactly you're wanting to host the email. And that gets into, a lot of people don't understand the hosting of email. It's basically where your email lives. And then it depends on if you're using Outlook, paying for like Office 365, which I guess is now Microsoft 365. And then Gmail is the other big one. G Suite is usually what companies use. So those are really the two big players right now. But again, we can talk about specifics of needs for your company because that probably makes all the difference of what you would want to use.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just connected you guys on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, yay, thank you.
You're so good.
And can I ask one more question, Jennifer?
Sure.
When you set aside those times, do you also include answering Facebook messages in that time? Or do you have a separate time for that?
That's completely up to you. I don't use Facebook Messenger a lot for my company, but you could certainly build that in. Just give yourself a little extra time to do so and just build into your habit that okay, this is a time that I'm not only checking email, but I'm also checking Facebook Messenger. Or you could do those as two separate time frames in your schedule. If you find that you get emails at a certain time more often, you might check emails then, but the Facebook messages come in later in the day, you might have a separate time for those. It's definitely what you see as the patterns and what works best for your schedule.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer,
Go ahead.
there was one question in the chat. Somebody was wondering if you are doing any gathering over Zoom to in the next few weeks or so to gather and answer gather and ask questions.
Well, it sounds like in several groups, people have asked me that. So it sounds like I need to do another one of those Zoom trainings that Diane was talking about.
There you go.
Yes, I will go ahead and do that. And I will let Karen know and I'll put it out on Facebook. And so I will do that in the next couple weeks. It will be a lunchtime. And so it'll probably be around 12 o'clock Central. And most likely it'll need to be on a Friday. So just be watching for that. In the next couple weeks. I don't know which week. I'll have to look at my calendar. But watch for that.
And where can
Awesome.
they follow you on Facebook?
On Facebook, it is Gateway Productivity.
Okay,
Yep,
I'm
and
gonna
it will
grab,
be posted there.
okay, I will
Jennifer,
grab
can I
that
ask
link
you a
and share to you.
I'm not sure how to raise my hand.
Sure,
Oh,
go ahead.
That's okay. I can hear you.
Thank you. So on Facebook, I have gotten out of the habit in that busy life that we used to have of looking at events. So I have fallen off the radar. Is there a way on Facebook to become more, is there a notification at all for when somebody sends an event? Because I don't often go to my notifications. And now I'm really trying to stay off Facebook because it is an energy zapper for me. And I'm addicted to it, I've found. So I'm really looking at taking it off my phone completely. So I don't want to get out of touch with people. And I also am wanting to take care of myself. So
Sure. I understand that completely. What I would do is when you're in Facebook, and I would do it on your computer because it's going to be a little bit easier. In the upper right hand corner, you're going to see just a tiny little drop down. If you go to that, that's where you can get to your settings. And I highly recommend everyone do this, no matter why you're doing it, to see how your settings are in there, because a lot of people don't have their settings locked down enough. And so for you, what I would do, a lot of people go in there to turn their notifications off as far as emails, but I would turn yours on. So go through all of your different notifications. And I'm not 100% sure that there's one for events, but you can look and see. But you might be able to turn on emails for friend activity or something like that. And so then that's all you would get. You wouldn't get anything about news or COVID or anything like that. It would just be notifications about certain activity, and you can choose which activities you want to send, you want to receive emails about. So that's probably what I would do.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And I did put the link to Jennifer's Facebook page in the chat, so you can grab that. It's not a clickable link, but you can copy and paste it.
Thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
Awesomeness.
All right.
Jennifer,
Back
you
to
are
Denver.
awesome. And yes, I'm looking forward to hearing about when you do your little webinar,
Okay.
especially around the notifications thing. That's where I get lost with LinkedIn and blah, blah, blah. Before we get into Carey, and I would really like to introduce you well, Carey, I want to make sure that I understand from Tiffany that some of you did not get a chance to share in the networking session in your small group. And yes, we're learning how this system works a little bit better. So sorry that that happened. If you did not, please use the chat box to share to your group. And if you want to name them and call them out specifically, you can actually address the information just to them, or you can just type it in the chat box, all of your information that you would have said verbally. And the other piece is Tiffany, thank you so much. She will save this chat in a text format and send it out to everybody so that we can see, oh, here's Carey and here's her background, and she didn't get a chance to share in the small group. So I want to hear about her and her business. Okay. And thank you for that little, we want to make sure that everybody is handled and very in the best way possible. So introduce Carey Portell. This is our personal story speaker today. Thank you, Carey, for being here. On December 29th, 2010, her life was changed as Carey Portell changed the life of her as a mother of four. Carey endured a 4-year recovery from being a survivor of a drunk driver that has resulted in partial disabilities. She is a public speaker regarding the effects of distracted driving and also farming with disabilities. So let us please welcome, and thank you so much for sharing your story, Carey Portell.
Thank you. I'm really happy that I got to be invited by Karen. I know Karen from the St. Louis Speakers Association, so that's how we've got connected. And she, every time I see her, she asks me if I would think about coming and joining the group. So I'm super excited. I'm about an hour and a half west of St. Louis. So it's a trip whenever I make it in. So this Zoom thing is like working out really good for me. So like she said, I am a survivor of a drunk driver. it's been 9 years ago now. It was December 29th of 2010. And my two middle children were actually with me whenever we were hit. I have 4 children, 2 of my own, and then I have 2 stepdaughters, all very, very close in age. And, you know, they're survivors as well. So when I tell people that it happened just like it does in the movies, there is no joke about that. I never thought that that was true. You know, the things that happen in the movies, I'm like, they're always exaggerated. It can't happen like that. And it does. It was literally one moment. The 3 of us were laughing so hard because the girls were making fun of me. And I was going to teach an exercise class, Zumba. And I mean, in the very next moment, as soon as I took my eyes back to the road, you know, after looking at them, I was like, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen right now. And it's so unreal how fast our mind works that I went from shock to acceptance to bargaining in a millisecond. It was, I can't believe this is going to happen, to this is going to happen. Is there anything that I can do to stop it? To, okay, this is going to be really bad, and it looks like I'm probably not going to make it. So God, can you please just spare my daughter's lives and just take me? And you know, you always say as a parent, you're like, I would always save my children over myself, but you really don't know how that feels. You know, you can try to imagine, but in that moment, like, there is not a selfish bone in your entire body. Like, I was just like, my life will end today if you just save theirs. And it's like, that feeling has never gone away. And it's been kind of like a motivational guideline for me, that every time something comes up in my life, I take myself back to that moment, and I'm like, what really matters, Carey? At this moment, you're getting, you know, wrapped up in something that really is superficial when you look at just the baseline of life. And does it really matter that much to put that much energy in it? And all of a sudden, it just falls away. I mean, like, it is unbelievable, like, the peace and contentment that I have now through this process of the last 9 years. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I want to caution you, like, the first image is of my car, so I don't want people to go, oh, you know. So okay, so slideshow. Okay, so can you guys see that? Okay. So when I tell people, you know, our car crash was bad, I literally mean it was devastating. So it wasn't just him and I that were in the crash, the drunk driver and I. There were 4 vehicles involved. So there was a 4-car pile up. And I wasn't even the first one in line. There was a truck that was pulling a flatbed trailer in front of me, and luckily he had kind of skidded down the side of that truck to slow him. But when we hit, it was still in excess of 80 miles an hour. And we did hit head on, but it was an odd sort of way that we hit, because I had swerved to the right to try to avoid him. So when we hit head on, it was more over on my driver's side. So that in turn flipped him around to have a second impact into the side of my car. So he had a second impact into the side of my door, and you can see right here, that is my driver's seat. There was literally no room for me to go anywhere. The dash was in my lap. But surprisingly, I had no organ damage. I had a severe concussion. I was knocked out, but it had me trapped in there, and it was mostly from the waist down. And those are that is what caused me to have the partial disabilities that I do have today. And what it did was it crushed both of my legs and my pelvis. And these right here, this was taken in the hospital. My husband took this for me because there was no way I was going to remember, or even through like my fog, I wanted to make sure that whenever I was done and healed, that I could comprehend exactly what I went through so that I could keep that with me as part of my motivation to continue getting better. And my bones were crushed. So this is the only way that they could keep my legs in a straight line, because the bones couldn't hold that shape anymore. And because of so much damage that I had, the first 2 years I was confined to a wheelchair full time. They would try to get me up to walk in between surgeries, but it just, my legs were not strong enough. My bones were not strong enough to hold me. So for the first 2 years, full time, I was in a wheelchair. I am a part-time wheelchair user today. And at some point they're thinking originally, maybe I have like 2 or 3 years left to walk full time, but I'm kind of trying to delay that by taking care of myself, like physically and mentally. I feel like taking care of myself is a part-time job, because there is a lot of problems that go along with my injuries. And I have developed, it's called end stage traumatic arthritis. So but my arthritis is the worst that it can get at this point. And the only reason I have it is because of the trauma of the car crash. I can take around 3,000 steps a day right now, as long as I split those up. I can't take them all together or my legs will stop working. After 3,000 steps, my legs stop working. Every once in a while, I feel like God gives me a really good day to keep motivating me to continue on this path and just not give up. And he'll give me extra steps. I've had to come to realize that that means that the next day I have to accept that I can't do anything. But in the moment, like, sometimes the best thing for us physically, the best thing for us mentally is not the best thing for us physically. So when I'm in that moment and I take 4,000 steps that day, like, my heart and my mind are so rejuvenated that I'm like, it's okay. If I can have this moment right now, I will gladly give up a day of walking tomorrow. So at this point, I have had 13 surgeries from this car crash. My last one was in January. And this right here, these are the 3 parts of my body that cause my partial disabilities. I've had 5 surgeries on each of my ankles, and I've had 3 on my pelvis. And I still have all the metal in my pelvis, but recently we have went ahead and removed all of the metal from both of my legs because it's starting to shift and that kind of stuff. So it was time to get it out. But as you can see in my ankle x-rays, like, they were just shattered. There's nothing that they could do except try to put them back together, like pieces of a puzzle, is what my surgeon told me, and just cross our fingers for healing. And it took a very, very long time. From start to finish was 4 years. And, before my surgeon said, okay, Carey, this is just about all we can do for you right now. Come back only if you need it. So I'd been back 3 times since then. And 99% of the time, these are the type of braces that I have to wear so that I can walk every day. When I'm in the house in the evening, I do take them off. I have swelling every day, so I have to take them off and put them up several times a day. These braces, they're like really thin miniature casts. So they actually cast both of my legs to make these. So they're formed, which means I don't get to wear any cool shoes if I wear them. I mean, it is lace up shoes only. That is all they fit in. So either, like lace up tennis shoe. I do have a few pairs of lace up boots that I can wear, but all of my shoes now are a size to a size and a half larger than what I wear to accommodate these braces. And every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I just want to dress like a lady. And I loved wearing heels whenever I could, even though I'm a cattle farmer. And I can't wear heels. I never will wear heels again. And I don't know. I just want to feel a little bit more feminine than these braces make me feel. So if I know that I'm sitting for an extended period of time, I will go ahead and I'll either wear some sturdy athletic braces, or I'll just wear regular shoes and know that I can only walk a short distance. I've got to sit down. And usually at the end of the night, I'm like, screw it. I put the braces back on, but I got my little feel good moment there, you know? But the thing about the reason that I can't wear heels or pretty much any other shoe except for a flat shoe is that they decided to go ahead and just fuse both of my ankles and also my pelvis. So none of those joints move anymore. So like my ankles are at 90 degrees at all times. And a lot of people are like, I don't understand how you walk. I mean, how can you walk with 90 degrees? And let me tell you, it's been 4 years of physical therapy for my body to be able to figure out. And your body just does, it just figures it out. And if I walk slow, many people cannot tell. I mean, they just can't tell that I have any problems. But it's whenever I start walking a longer distance, which, you know, like maybe 100, 200 feet, or if I stand in the same spot for too long of a time, or, you know, if we're trying, some people forget they're trying to scurry somewhere, and I'm like, I can't scurry. I'm like, this is top speed. Then they're like, oh God, you know, you just don't realize it when you're with you every day because we don't see that side. But my biggest question in any audience that I ever speak to is just, you know, Carey, how did you get through it? How do you stay positive and knowing what your future is going to hold? How do you continue to motivate yourself? And I remember when I first started thinking about this, I mean, like that question was just going over and over and over again. And my natural, like mental stance on that was, I was like, well, you just do it. I'm like, you don't give yourself any other choice. You just do it. And there really wasn't the answer that they were looking for, because like when you're in a challenging situation, people are like, but I want the tools. I want to know what you did exactly so that I can use that same knowledge and apply it to my life. And when I sat down, I really started thinking about, well, what did I do mentally, you know, and emotionally to make myself get through this? And the very first thing I had to do was accept. I'm like, man, this happened. There wasn't a darn thing that I could do about it. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't change his decision to, you know, drive impaired and speed. And I can't change that I'm in a wheelchair right now, or at some point that is going to be my full-time future. So I got to accept it. And the next thing I had to accept was, you know what? I'm a lot better off than when I was in that car trapped. I lived, I'm making it, things are going okay. And then later on, like where I'm at now, I look and I'm like, man, I am way, way far beyond what they ever thought I would be physically. I mean, they didn't expect me to walk. And if I did, they're like, it is not going to be good, Carey. It's a bad deal for you. So the best thing that my surgeon ever told me, and I apply this to anybody who has any kind of challenge, whether it's personal or business, is like every few months, look back and see how far you've come from that point where you started, and you'll actually see your progress. It's almost like when people lose weight and they're like, oh, I've only lost 6 pounds. I don't see any difference. Take a picture before and after. That's exactly what it's like. It's like you don't realize how much progress you've made until it's right in front of your face. And I had to accept that this is just the way things are supposed to be for me. I don't want to say I didn't fight it, because I did challenge myself physically to be at my peak. I needed to see how far I could go. But at the same time, I am kind of a realist. I'm like, there was nothing I can do about it. So I've got to accept that this is the way it's supposed to be. And there is supposed to be something that comes from this awful situation. And just like the screen says, it says, nothing happens by mistake. It brought me to this point. I never, ever want to go through anything like this again in my entire life. I wish that I could get to the point where I'm at today without having something as dramatic and traumatic as what this was. But man, what this has done for me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I don't want to give it back. I want to keep it because I don't know if I would be like this enhanced from the person that I was before. I mean, it's just an unbelievable feeling. And the very second thing that I know made a huge, huge difference in my recovery and the way that I'm at today is forgiveness. That man is not here for me to be mad at. He lost his life instantly. I mean, as soon as we hit, he perished. And he gave the ultimate sacrifice for his addiction. He has left me with the consequences, but he's not here. And if I was to be mad and, just become this miserable person for what I've gone through, that is just going to not only hurt me, hinder my progress, the people that are around me, those people that love me and have, held my hands and lifted me up through this entire progress, it would just devastate them. And it's just not fair. So I choose to have a really good attitude about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get frustrated and sometimes I get really mad and I have to go outside and just scream and say, God, screw this. I'm so sick of this. And then I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it, Carey? Shut up. Get on with it. You got stuff to do. You got a life to live and you've got 4 kids who are counting on you. So that's kind of how I always put things into perspective whenever I would get into those kind of down phases. Those down phases are much less than what they used to be, thank goodness, because I don't have as many surgeries back to back anymore. The only time it gets really bad is if I have a week and it's like day 4, day 5, where I cannot get control of my pain, then I start to get like, man, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I really need this to ease up. Because I am not one to abuse narcotics. I am not one to go to the hospital and say, you know what, I need a morphine drip right now. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I think that's just me, more willpower than anything. But that whole narcotic thing is a scary thing. And I don't want to go into that life. So I choose to do anything that I possibly can before I take a narcotic to ease my pain. And my pain level's up here all the time now. Like, it's just normal. So I don't even think about the everyday pain much anymore because that's just how it is. It's whenever it spikes that it reminds me that, hey, your pain used to be up here for years and you finally got it down to here. So just get through it. Just be grateful. It will end. It always ends. It just, the timing may be a little bit different. So what I do now through speaking is my baseline was always choices. And, somebody made a really bad choice one evening that has then forced me to make a choice how I was going to handle and live the rest of my life. And now I've kind of transitioned from that to breaking through limitations. Like, I have had so many limitations in these last 9 years, and I've had to figure out a way to get through them. And just, even if I can't overcome something, at least I can figure out how to get through it. I can find a different way. Maybe I have to say, this isn't exactly the way that I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to find a more creative way that maybe I wouldn't have been satisfied before this crash happened, but I have to be satisfied with it now. that's how I kind of get through everything. And attitude is a choice. Every day, attitude is a choice, because every day that I wake up, I am met with pain, and every night when I go to sleep, I am met with pain. And it's the constant in my life, besides the love that my family gives me. Those are the two constants. So this is how you guys can stay connected with me after our meeting is over. I really don't do a whole lot on Twitter. I know out here in the rural area, not a whole lot of people are on Twitter, and I just don't like it. So Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are my three main ones where I try to, do some inspiration. Besides speaking, I am a cattle farmer, and that has become kind of my physical therapy every day. I have tried and failed many times to go back to a normal out of the home job. My body just will not allow me to do it. So I do cattle farming part of the day, and then the other part of the day I do my speaking business. So Karen, I want to thank you so much. I should have set a timer with how long I took. Sometimes I get a little passionate, and I probably went over.
Just a little.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, now we're good to go.
Thank you. Okay. Meeting Carey, her heart is just so beautiful. She's beautiful physically, but her heart is just so beautiful. I knew that our community would love you. So I am really thankful that you were able to speak today and to share your journey. So how were the kids in the car? That was one of the questions I had. The two kids, how were they?
They had moderate injuries. My daughter, who was in the front seat, she had a really deep seatbelt laceration. She had to get stitches. Luckily, it didn't actually go into her body cavity. It was before that. And then my daughter in the back seat, she had some cuts from from the glass, and then she broke her arm. So
it wasn't
that car, you're like, how is that even possible? But
how? It's God. It was God.
Yes.
Protecting. Thank you. Deborah.
I just wanted to, I don't know if I said it earlier, I actually put it in the chat box too. If you did not get a chance to do your part of the networking in the small group, please type your information into the chat box. And Tiffany has said she will send out the chat information to the group so that we can all get to know about you. We don't want anyone to be skipped out on that. Oh, are you going to talk about the board or so we just have a few more minutes. We've gone almost to the very end. We were going to talk about the shout outs and a few other things. Oh, and somebody's sending me some information about Italy. Thank you so much.
Heidi, I think is up after, the testimonials. We will skip. Remember, shout out, skip.
Go into Heidi for what's going on in terms of
the
how
board and volunteer. Heidi?
Yeah, so just real quick, there's our slide with the amazing board that we have. Without them, Gateway would not be where it's at today. The next slide is our group of amazing volunteers that we have right now. Karen had emailed and Tiffany had posted our interest form. So if you want to volunteer with Gateway to Dreams, we are slowly getting organized and putting committees together. So we will definitely reach out and start seeing where your heart is, where you feel you would best fit within Gateway. We would love to have anyone that has time to help us. The other thing that we have is our membership drive. And we've been challenging our members to invite folks to Gateway to Dreams, Connecting and Supporting Women. Tracy Miller has won previously, and we found a way to figure out how many visitors we had. So today we think we had 4 visitors, and 2 of them were invited by Jana Gamble. So Jana, you are our winner today, and you will get a $10 Starbucks or Panera gift card, your choice, and then Karen's Contacts, Connections, and Collaboration book. So thank you so much for inviting your visitors. Continue, invite 4 people that are like-minded like you that would enjoy connecting and promoting women. We'll track. Our goal is to get to 200 members by the end of this year. We know this coronavirus quarantine has definitely impacted this. but we are still growing, and we're super excited where we're going to be at the end of this. I just have no doubt that Gateway is going to touch a lot more hearts and lives. So thank you all for your help with that. Karen, I'm going to give that back to you for Change for Change.
Or actually, Tracy, what's going on? Something's weird.
Your audio. Is somebody else maybe needs to be muted?
Hello. Okay, I think it's working now. Tracy, one of our board members, had talked about me saying the Change for Changes we would ask, and that added another $30 or $40 to our coffers. But we do have on the Gateway to Dreams website, we have a donation link, $5, $50, $500, $5,000, whatever you might feel led to donate. We still have our expenses, although we still have our rent. Go ahead and raise it. It was supposed to be raised, but they're going to let us go another month without that raise. But we can use any donations to help us. And before we get off too, we want to, and I don't know what quote we have for this month, Heidi. We have a new quote for the month? And then Pookie is going to sing the song that I love, I Am Responsible. Oh, okay. Now I can't read this because of my
I can read it, Karen.
Thank you.
I know what happens when that gets stuck in the middle of it. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You do not blame them on your mother, the ecology, or the president. You realize that you control your own destiny. This is a quote by Albert Ellis.
And that is perfect to go along with Pookie's song, I Am Responsible. And that song, when I heard it in 2014, it touched my heart. We tried singing it, but together, but we're going to let just one person, because I didn't realize that each person who's trying to talk made it really, really not a good sounding song, but the words are here. And will you sing I Am Responsible?
Yes, yes. And if you mute your Zoom, you can sing along with me in real time, right? But when they're unmuted and you try to sing, there's like a delayed response, so it gets kind of wobbly. But if you want to sing with me, I absolutely encourage you to mute your Zoom, and you can sing to the top of your lungs as loud as you want, right? And it won't interfere with the broadcast, okay? So are we ready? Here we go. I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. Let's do that again. I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. Here we go. Looking around the world, and what do I see? So many things in a state of need, pain and suffering all around me. I won't stand by and just let this be, 'cause I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. Everywhere, everyone wants to be free. Some look around and say, it's not me. How can they close their eyes and not see? It all comes down to me, because I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I'm reliable, accountable, dependable, invincible. I'm capable, incredible, responsible. I'm reliable, accountable, dependable, invincible. I'm capable, incredible, responsible. 'Cause I, last time, am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. To leave the world. To leave the world a better place. To leave the world. to leave the world a better place. What are we gonna do? We're gonna leave the world a better place. Woo! All right, everybody unmute and let's celebrate. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you, Maria. It's beautiful to see your daughter and that you can participate in this and not arrange babysitters.
Oh, look at that.
All the volunteers, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Heidi and I, we can't do this without you. It looks like we have a sponsor next month. Thank you, Andrea Blevins. Here's signing off. If you need us, me, reach out. I'm on Facebook. You should be able to find me. If not, find me anyway. gatewaytodreams.com has my email address as well. Anybody else before we sign off?
No, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye. Oh, Dawn's got a question.
Who?
Dawn Casera, if you still got a question, you can go ahead and ask it.
I just wanted to tell everyone, just to help out in this pandemic, that I'm offering our LinkedIn automation workshop again for free, especially to this group. Any way that I can help you, please let me know.
Thank you,
That's
Dawn.
awesome. I know I saw some notes. Is there a link in there? Yes, you included your email, so that's the best way to get a hold of you. Okay.
So we're
Very
gonna.
good.
I think we decided we're gonna send out. It's doing that noise thing again. Tiffany, didn't we say we're gonna email this out through Eventbrite and the link,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes.
so you'll get the chat and the and thanks all for being there. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.